descriptions or anything else, just.
Really, just those guys. You want to look at the fringe for
Okay,
state employees.
we are recording, and we're going to open with the LDC meeting. Dan has joined us by cell phone also.
It's shocking.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so call the meeting to order. April, I don't have an agenda in front of me, so I'm just going to assume that the first thing we're going to do is the reading and the approval of the minutes for our previous LDC meeting. So I need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion. Maggie makes the motion.
Okay, I need a second.
Seconds it.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And I've reviewed, and I'll make a motion on the approval for the 5-year projected budget as required by the ABO.
Okay, so I need a second for that.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
And the third thing that's up, Eric, is approval of the resolution to convey throughway land from the LDC to the Greene County IDA.
Okay. So we need a motion on that.
Keith?
Everybody understands what that's about, right?
Seconded.
I'll second.
Okay,
Brian?
we have a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Is there any other
Okay.
questions for the LDC?
That all I got, April, for LDC?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn
I
the
will. I'll pass
LDC
that.
meeting.
I'll make,
Fred and Maggie?
yep.
Okay, a second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we can,
Just tell me when you're ready, April, and you're ready to go right into the next one?
oh, I lost Paul Goldman. Hold on one second. Okay. I'm waiting for Paul Goldman to rejoin, but
Okay,
We can get going.
Yep.
all right. So we'll call the regular IDA meeting to order. First order of business will be the reading and the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Okay, need a second?
Aye.
Keith?
All those in favor? Aye. Okay,
Aye.
on to the finance report.
I'll make a motion on the cash flow statements as presented.
Okay,
I'll
need a
second.
second on that? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I will make a motion on the cash detail as presented. The check detail, I'm sorry, as presented.
Okay, I need a second on that?
I'll second it. Brian seconds it.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And I've reviewed and will make a recommendation on approving and accepting the 5-year projected budget as required by the authority's budget office.
Thank you, Maggie. I need a second on that.
Second, Fred.
Ed, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll take over Eric's.
Okay, thank you.
So in the project updates, we are moving along on many of our projects. So Caro Water, we are hiring CME Associates to do the borings. That will be both for Caro and our Exit 21 projects. Delaware Engineering is working with the town of Caro on zoning. So one more step forward on water.
Can I ask a question? There was something in the news about the land up there and the project, and it didn't.
Is that the private owned land?
It was about the private owned land. It seemed to be about the whole sort of project. There didn't seem to be uniformity among the board and Caro. It was hard to discern if they're having
Right. So
challenges moving forward, if there's
I
not.
wouldn't say it was
agreement.
challenges. What we're working on is zoning language to clarify what can and can't be and just clear that up. So I know the town of Caro is going to be hiring Delaware separately to work on that. So that'll.
To work on the zoning, to what's
Not to
appropriate
work on
for
zoning,
the.
but just more of like clearing up language.
Well, so the issue that you were reading about, a prior engineering firm that worked for the town of Caro advised them that they needed to acquire this parcel for future water extensions, sewer extensions, another thing. which turns out we don't really need that. They don't need that parcel. Okay, I don't know what the deal was in the beginning or whatever with it, but nobody needs that parcel. So now the town wants to back out of buying it and give the parcel, and release the parcel back to the owner, because I don't know whether they have an option or some, I don't know what's holding it, but it's encumbered somehow with an option or some other ways. So as far as the sewer project itself, they're all fully on board with that. But and there's some right-of-way issues with that piece. To be quite honest with you, I've been trying to figure it out a little bit, and short of getting a crayon and a drawing and kind of mapping it, I've sort of been a little confused, but that's the essence of it.
Yes, okay. And ultimately that parcel, because some people think that there was an agreement to buy the parcel and then the board's not going to buy the parcel.
Right, I guess there was a formal agreement to buy the parcel. No answer what's about that, because they're getting released from that option or whatever they had on it.
But that it's immaterial to what it is that we're involved with.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other Carroll Water questions? Okay, moving on. Athens Gen is still working on their application, and we will present it to the board once we receive it.
Did they get a final agreement?
They are still working with the town.
Assessment on,
Yeah.
okay.
They have a stipulation currently for this role, so it went from 1.24 billion down to 530 million, but I know they're still working with the town. Okay, Chippy. So Paul is working with their attorneys on final language for the closing documents. And we are waiting to hear back from Champlain Hudson.
We have to play a little bit of hardball with them because, they're just getting ridiculous on all the changes they want in the contracts and agreements. And to Paul's point, we haven't agreed on this with anybody else. We've tried to be flexible. And I know for one, April and I get a little tired of them saying we want to be consistent with all the other IDAs. And our continuing point seems to be is that we're not all the other IDAs. We act differently here. We work differently here. So the last email to them was, well, if you want to basically act like the other IDAs, we can act like Ulster and Dutchess, which are a mess and aren't doing anything for you right now. So let's just get this stupid stuff wrapped up. But they have closed in Clinton, Saratoga, Washington, and Schenectady, I think, counties. They've closed in escrow, so we're working towards it.
Anything else, Paul?
No, I did speak to another lawyer on it, and they're about to close Albany County. So, I think we'll get there. It's just a question of, painful. He also indicated that it had been a bit of a process.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then moving on to Flipmine Solar. We have started working on the draft finding statement. I created a shell. Renee is updating different points that my expert special consultant needs to work on. We did get the appraisal in. I ran the numbers, so we're comparing the pilot, the cash flow, what would happen if there was no development there, and then the state model.
Did we talk about that last month at all? Just because you...
The appraisal numbers?
Yeah.
We touched on it briefly, but did you want to add something?
Well, as I think it's just of interest to everybody. So, when you appraise when you do appraisals on these projects or assessments, either or, they should be done on a cash basis, should be your predominant, not a cost basis. So to give you an idea of what we did is we hired a consultant. We wanted a couple things done. We wanted them to run the NYSERDA model, which is currently under injunction and cannot be used, but that's the state law. This is the model you're supposed to use. Plug in your numbers, spit out your answer. Here's what it's worth. So we wanted to run that model. Even though it's under injunction, all of us are pretty confident that the state's got a lot of juice at the end of the day. The injunction's going to go away and the law it's going to stand. We also wanted them to do an appraisal under a discounted cash basis, as though there was no pilot or nothing else around. If you were anybody else on the street, what would you be assessed at and appraised at for this? So we wanted to run those numbers both ways, and to give you an idea, you're looking at let's round numbers. You're looking at like a $277 million build, which would be your cost basis. Mm-hmm. On a discounted cash basis, no incentives, about $164 million. And then under the NYSERDA model, $42 million.
46
million. So just to give you an idea what that NYSERDA model does, it basically knocks that thing from 164 million down to 46 million.
Okay. So is it, you would think NYSERDA would be right, because they're the ones that are buying
the electricity, right? So they've got to be putting their expected rates that they're going to pay, right? That's what drives.
Well,
the revenue,
NYSERDA
right?
doesn't buy the electric. The electric is sold to the ISO, the independent system operators. NYSERDA does is awards credits in a
Okay,
couple different
right.
ways. So there's some credits that are like gap credits, like
Yeah.
anytime you don't make 6.4 cents a kilowatt hour, they make up the difference. So there's various ways these
Yeah.
recs and incentives are set up.
Okay. So I guess this is specific to our situation, but I'm curious, why would Flint Mine Solar have spent that much to develop it if the cash flow is so poor?
Well, what it shows you, they actually did two models, and on the with the tax credits, direct credits from the feds, and non-tax credits, and it's what was it, only worth like 56 million or something without the tax credits. And then with the tax credits, the ITC credits, it pushes it up to 164 million, because that's a revenue source, those tax credits.
Sure,
They sell them, they don't use them. They sell those to banks and others that can use those credits.
Okay.
So that's a revenue source. We wanted to do this primarily because the state model has a big impact.
Sure.
We wanted to do a comparison right out of the box. We also wanted to be able to, in our finding statement, say, don't shoot the messenger. We're just going by the law. Here's what the numbers look like and what the reality is on it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the comparison in the finding statement as to what they would pay at full freight versus what the pilot will pay will be based on the NYSERDA model.
Okay, so our numbers.
So it's going to show that the tax break isn't as onerous as you think it is.
Right.
Is that right or wrong? I don't know. But given
Right.
the parameters of how to set the assessments and stuff, that it is what it is.
Yeah.
So the model might tweak. So the model is supposed to be basically tweaked every year. The discount rate and a number of the metrics, like when it get adjusted for actual reality of the time. So I think the model. Some of the assessors have said there's some problems in it.
So the reason there's an injunction is that town that requested the injunction says it harms the town. And Ray Ward, our own county assessor, said that there is a formula glitch, but the state hasn't released, won't unlock it for us to compare and look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you plug in some certain number regarding the values, and it cuts it by a third. So from 164 down to, or 146 down to 64.
You can imagine that the state's model is heavily weighted toward getting to the climate goals.
Yeah.
And you have to have a fine accounting sense to understand. Your question is why would you build it?
That's my first question.
It's all being billed back in your energy bills, and that's part of that's some of the disconnect between how you get to zero net carbon or whatever it is you want to go, and where the power is going. So the truth is, when you really start parsing out the energy bills of people across the state, including people for whom CHPE or Flint Mine or all of those will be impacted, they're paying essentially for the public policy benefit of getting there. They're not necessarily benefiting from it, but they are paying for it. So if you look at your Central Hudson bill or wherever you get your energy from, the state is coming up whole on all. Their goal is to kind of get this down so that it's developed. They're not on the consumer side. I'm not saying that they're anti-consumer, but the truth is their model is going to get you to a point because they know that they have to bill all this back.
Oh, therefore lower the assessment, the happier.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of other people unhappy. And the other, go ahead.
In short, the way I look at this is ideology. And if you were to apply generally accepted business practices, none of these would be built.
Right.
Zero. Because they can't afford to build them based on the basics of the business. It's the credits and all the.
It's getting better. It's getting closer and closer because, with the energy crisis, but you're right. You're correct.
And I think that's important for the public to understand. That's what I think part of our job is is, and I think you hit the nail on the head about clarifying 164 versus 140, whatever.
Which is, exactly why we do these detailed finding sheets, because it's just all laid out. Pretty much anybody can read. You don't have to be a lawyer to read them. And
And I think that's an important role of this board.
And it's very, solar is a really good example because it's all visual. Like you can see it. No one's going to see this Champlain Hudson power line in a different way. That's a gift that keeps on giving. The railroad's there. It's running along it too is energy, right? And it too is paying. Will it go through the model? I don't think so because it's not solar. The NYSERDA model is on solar because solar, if 20 years ago, everybody was, you got to make the panels in the country. You got to, now it's really about the generation of it. Is Flint Mine finished? Have they finished their construction there? It's hard to tell when you.
No, Freepoint, yes.
Freepoint's finished, sorry.
Finished, they're not quite operational yet. They're working through some things, but that's.
But there have been 2 mechanic liens filed against the project for like 2.3 or 2.4 million all in. Yeah, one's from a company who supplied wire and products, and the other one looks like they might have been the installer company. I strongly suggest, I think that it's probably all just, cash flow, timing, basis type stuff. I can't imagine that they spent that much money and didn't have any idea how to pay for it, but we'll find out. So because because we show up, with a lease on that, then we show up as an owner in the liens too. But we've been through this before. We're not subject to them. We're not. We don't owe that money if they don't pay it or anything like that. But just to let you know, there are 2 liens out on that project right now. Just got the second one like 2 days ago, right?
Yeah.
And with respect to Flint Mine, Greene County doesn't benefit in any specific way for that development in terms of lower energy costs or.
Are they getting the power or buying the power?
No.
Going into the grid.
Going into the grid. Yeah, it's not set up as a retail. It's not set up as a retail operation. That's what people got to understand the difference between when you're seeing Freepoint across the Pegasus, that's a retail. So they're selling that per retail market prices. When you see the big ones, they're selling at wholesale prices into the grid, into the ISO collector,
Right,
and then it just gets distributed again. The little ones, they've all entered into power purchase agreements, whether it's with individuals or municipalities or someone like that. So that's why you can pilot them a little bit higher because their revenue numbers are a little higher on that, being that they're getting the retail pricing on it.
Right.
And some people in the region, I think I got like a note from Central Hudson that if you were buying from a particular local generator kind of offset, that's expired or they're not generating anymore, and now they're out kind of trying to find another local or regional thing to offset or to buy your solar or whatever you're doing. So, and that's also while you're seeing communities around the state evaluate whether they should start creating their own municipal
Solar fields.
Well, not just solar, any sort of energy, right? They're hydro, all sorts of things, because especially in upstate, right? The generation of it is happening, whether it's solar or hydro or well, you name it, but wind. But the ability to get that to lower the community's costs isn't there.
So do we have any competitive advantage because we have these established solar fields in terms of infrastructure's already set up or expertise is here or not? I wouldn't kind of think so, but.
No. I guess if anything, you'd say if you have expertise, it just would draw more solar developers. And quite frankly, after we get through with these couple, won't hurt my feelings if they just sort of go away for a while.
They kind of move on to the next great land mass and right. Okay. Solar feels like it feels like real estate speculation.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bubble. It moves.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So just to wrap up, Flint Mine Solar in your packet and individual letters were mailed from Sleepy Hollow. So they sent an updated letter for the board's review. Like I said, Renee and I are working through the process. We will have a draft to the board next month, probably.
That's priority starting next week.
And then we'll set up a public hearing And then we also send out the deviation notice to the county, town, and school. And then hopefully by October, November board meeting, we'll approve the finding statement. So that'll include the cost benefit analysis and the incentive package. So we'll present that next board meeting. That's the process. We're working through it. Any other questions on Flint Mine Solar? Okay. Wilder Wyndham, we do have a resolution language. Paul, do you want to talk about it first? Or you want me to just read the resolution language?
No, I'll talk about it if you want. Okay. So we were trying, we originally approved a resolution the last time with an intercreditor. And this has been a bit of a mess because there's a new program with these CPACE loans pursuant to which a county resolution was passed and they get a lien on the property. Pilot payments that we have are not secured by a pilot mortgage. The only one we've done that on has been Athens Gen because of the magnitude. So they came to us with the CPACE loan and with the county's resolution in place, pursuant to which our pilot agreements or pilot payments would be not secured. And then they're pushing us one level down for the payments on this loan. That's not what we had agreed upon. So I had originally drafted the thing with an intercreditor that we would be in front because, pilot payments, there's a question as to whether, they're not secured by lien, but they should be the equivalent of taxes. So, I went back and drafted the language. I was working on it last night and all day yesterday. I was just working on it a few minutes ago, and they want, they propose something related to subordinating the payments will work, but the language that they're proposing is not acceptable yet. We still have to work through it. And it's kind of the whole dialogue of, when you have a new program dealing with an old program and how they interface. So I thought what we would do for today, because I had originally drafted a resolution on it, because I thought we were going to go the way of having a subordination agreement. I'm still not sure which way it's going. And rather than make them delay, we can authorize the execution and delivery of a subordination agreement with the company and the lender. And that's about all we can do to see where this works out. So did I totally confuse everyone?
So there's not going to be an intercreditor agreement?
No, there's going to be a subordination agreement. And which pursuant to which the payments under the CPACE loan would be subordinate to our pilot payments. So that's what I'm trying to work for. I'm not sure where we are based on the email. If it's the board's preference that we table this to next month, that's okay with me. But it's up to you, because the resolution that I prepared, the first one I prepared, I sent them the documents well in advance. The lenders looked at it and said, no, this is not acceptable to us. And then we've been going back and forth. So then I prepared a resolution based on what I thought the agreement would be. And then I just got an email just now, a few minutes ago, just literally right this morning. And I'm still trying to work it out. So it's really the board's preference if you want to table this to next month.
Or can the board approve that the chairman sign off on the documents once approved?
I gave you some language we could read, so it's really a board preference item.
Can I, Paul, I was not at the last meeting, so I apologize, but what is a CPACE loan? It's a new type of loan?
From the county?
From the county, it's a county back?
No. But the county approved the CPACE.
The county has passed a law to allow the CPACE loans. They basically, as Paul noted, they lean against there's a lien against the property. So if case for some reason they don't make the note, there's that lien on, the lien is carried on the property. So what it is there's banking institutions out there that are sort of green bankers, and there's lower interest on it, but they're also fed a steady supply of borrowers through this program, the CPACE program. So they line people up doing energy efficiency. It's all energy efficiency type of stuff. You can't do it to put a roof on your building. So anything you want to do, your green element, your energy efficiency, things like that.
So some of the improvements that they did at Wilder Wyndham meet the qualifications for this loan.
Correct.
They've already done them.
Yes.
And so now they're essentially the mortgage.
Right, so this will be $3 million coming into Wilder Wyndham that they're kind of counting on through this program.
I would suggest, as April just suggested, Paul, is just let the board pass a motion as soon as you and, if you and Eric are happy with the final form and context of the documents, to move them and not wait another month.
Yeah, see, the nuance to this loan program, Maggie, is that they get a lien for the collection of, so most loans are not secured by a lien unless you have a mortgage. The nuance of this program, and I guess in order to incentivize this type of loan program, is that the county passed a local law pursuant to which they receive a lien in the equivalent of taxes. Okay. So that is not normal. Taxes in the hierarchy of a real estate program have a priority over a mortgage. So then what happens is, since we're unsecured because our pilot payments are unsecured, we have leverage in terms of we can terminate the pilot, would be pushed down another level. So we're still kind of working through it because it's a relatively new program with the county's local law, and they kind of just threw it at me, and I've been kind of working through it with them. But we're still not in agreement. But what I had prepared earlier was some language which I sent to April, which I can either read for you or you can read, April, just approving it in concept, a subordination agreement, and then having the chairman authorized to sign it, subject to our mutual approval.
Would the board like me to go ahead?
Let me just make sure.
Everybody okay with that?
Keith has a question.
Paul, basically the bottom line is we're not able to do anything but subordinate to the
CPACE.
or whatever.
CPACE.
CPACE. So we have no alternative basically to do anything except for to do that. We haven't found a legal way around it.
Well, that's what I'm trying to work through. They should be subordinating to us.
Mhm.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to work through. And that's what I'm saying is what the language would be. I had thought we would have an intercreditor to accomplish that. That's what was passed at the prior meeting. Apparently under this program, it wasn't acceptable to the lender. They sent me some documents, said that, our lien would be prior to their lien, which in a foreclosure would take forward. Then they backed away from that. So the program's a bit of a mess. But the idea of this is that where we have to get to is that these pilot payments are prior in collection to the payments under the CPACE loan. That's where we should be under law.
Okay, and basically our approval would be essentially giving you and the chairman the ability to enter into that type of agreement, not a subordinate agreement.
Correct, that they would be subordinating to us the payments under the loan.
Okay. Okay, so.
Is everybody good with that, putting that motion forward?
Read this.
Why
It
don't you
sounds
read
like
it?
Keith put the motion forward.
Okay.
I think you got to read the
Okay.
resolution.
So the resolution is amending and superseding the certain CPACE resolution of the agency dated July 21st, 2022, approving the execution and delivery of an agreement by and between the agency, Castle Greene Finance LLC, and Wilder Wyndham LLC, pursuant to which the payments under the CPACE loan in favor of the company will be subordinate to the payments due to the agency under the pilot agreement. So Keith moves the resolution, seconded by Donna.
Okay, so we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, once we have those, we'll send it out to the board for final review. Okay, moving on to parks. So under exit 21 East, the land has been transferred from the county to the LDC. In our LDC meeting, we approved the transfer now to the IDA. So the motion is approval of the resolution determining the acquisition of a certain 2.2 acre vacant property, the DOT lands, is an unlisted action. And then the second part of the resolution is it will not have a significant impact on the environment. And then the second part is to accept the conveyance of the property, DOT lands, from the Greene Local Development Corp.
These two separate motions are all in two.
It's all one resolution.
Okay. All right. So I need somebody to move that.
Keith moved it.
Second.
Okay.
Brian.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Then I'm going to kick it to the consultant for discussion on our Stewart's project.
Okay, so you have a little map there. Unfortunately, Dan's not here to see his Dan Kelly map of the month series, you know?
We emailed it.
So first, so what you're looking at is you're basically looking at the whole land-based configuration there, the 6.914 acres. The way it's delineated out right now, this blue line lot for Stewart's, the green lot for a yet to be finalized hotel, and it leaves us that pink lot in the front of about 1.5 acres for another restaurant. So two items today. First item on Stewart's, we've all known all from day one, the intention was to sell that lot to Stewart's. What we need today is approval to tender an offer to Stewart's at $1 million for 1.7 acres. Stewart's has agreed to it. The general terms, we have a very general term sheet, and the terms are just what we've been talking about from day one. That, you know, the price is at $1 million. It is completely as is. We're not doing any additional mitigation. There's some wetlands on the property. They are the problem of Stewart's in itself. There will be a restriction in the deed that will require all exit from the property to be out the new road, which you can kind of see where it is between the pink and the purple. But it will allow them to apply at their own risk for an entrance only off along the blue line on the front to go in there. Right now they want to get the contract, so they got like two months under the term sheet, but they want to move right to contract immediately. So if we approve it today, I'm putting Paul in touch with their attorney. He just did a closing with them recently. But when we get to the final contract of sale, they're basically looking to do a $10,000 deposit, non-refundable but applicable. They need 9 months to do the due diligence, get through all the zoning, planning board, the whole 9 yards, et cetera, with the ability to extend that for 3 months at a cost of $2,500. Don't see they're going to need to do it, but you know, it's fair and reasonable. And then the other big term is that the current Stewart's comes back to the IDA as a donation. The gas tanks and fuel tanks are removed. And I did tell them they didn't have to restore the parking lot, because normally they would patch the parking lot. We're like we're going to just tear it all up anyway, so no sense being stupid on that. And that's the general term. Stewart's is in agreement. They've signed off on it, and as long as the board approves today the sale $1 million. I will note that we had an appraisal done on this, so the appraisal was 1.1, so we rounded it to just a solid $1 million for them to take on the risk of the wetlands and us basically doing no other shovel readiness other than getting the road built in there to them at that.
Sounds good.
So
Anybody have any questions before we go to?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. They're showing the current tourism still in the drawing. Is that just for reference?
These are just cartoons at this point. We have not moved anything off. This is just trying to get things to sit on the current survey maps as they are.
Is the idea to temporarily leave that there until the other property is ready?
Probably not. Probably going to get torn down. We're probably going to put the tourism staff down in the county office building for a year.
Second thing is, do we do any deed covenants like we did in Cooksaki for appearances and such? I just want to bring that up. We've talked about this for decades, that this is a gateway project.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we need to be as sensitive to this property as we were in Cooksaki when it comes to gateway and appearance.
Then my suggestion to you is that you so we've got like 72 pages of deed restrictions on our properties. They are a major hindrance as far as my opinion goes. That's why you have a village plan. That's why you have a town planning board. Okay. And I'm certain that they're going to do right by that. So where do you start and how deep do you go?
I don't disagree. 72 sounds like too much, but I at the same time.
It's a document like this, and that's two-sided, you know?
And I'm not suggesting that, not even remotely suggesting that.
So
I'm just saying that we do need to be somewhat conscious of it.
Well, it's going to be a Stewart's like the other Stewart's, Keith. I mean, it's going to kind of be what it's going to be, I think, you know? I don't have other boards.
But I will say this, I mean, Stewart's has made modifications in all sorts of areas from their template. And but I would agree with you, that's the town planning board's responsibility. Now is the time. I have no idea the degree to which their code, has that, but those should be the conversations, right? On a signature entry sort of look. That's right. So you're not painting the white brick, so it looks like a,
Right.
Right. And in my
modified
travels, I
outhouse.
go past Stewart's all over the place, and they are different.
They are,
I know,
right.
absolutely.
The one in Amsterdam looks like a lighthouse.
Hudson with that faux second story.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the one up first. We talked about that one yesterday.
Faux second story.
So,
But they bought that building already built.
did they?
They
Okay.
did, because I asked them, I said, how the heck, it looks like an airport
Yeah,
tower.
like an airport tower, yeah.
In the middle of Perth.
Yeah, not the best looking lighthouse.
So-
there for sure.
So Keith, I would strongly suggest that we not monkey up the work with us putting additional requirements on it, to be honest with you. I think there's a little difference when you're doing a 200 or 300 acre land base with a whole load of
Yeah,
road
yeah.
frontage and trying to set a tone.
I guess my point, you really answered it. I don't think it necessarily has to be us, but I think it has to be. So maybe that's just a communication from us.
My experience with the Catskill Planning Board is they're not an easy nut to crack. And they can be pretty
Well, I would agree with that.
thorough.
I would agree with that. And not necessarily in a negative way. I'm
And,
just saying.
but it's
generally.
zoned commercial.
Correct.
And I would agree with you, and but I do think that, and Stewart's is pretty nimble. So if the board is doing what they are, because when you think about it, it's not just the visual field, it's lighting, it's all of those things when you've got a commercial sort of thing, especially if we get to where a hotel is, there's all sorts of things. And for all we know, Stewart's is in the green space. They may be thinking about a lot of other ways as well to make the kind of signature entry as you go now toward the different projects underway.
And I recognize the fact that this is a parking lot over here.
Right.
So you're really probably talking, greenage, trees and such, they kind of buffer in between those two. But
Right.
You're still looking at a parking lot. I
Right.
mean, it's not like we're, it's not the Taj Mahal.
No, for sure.
You know what I
And
mean?
so I
But I
pretty,
just want to kind of put it on the table that we do need to, there is some form of responsibility here for that.
yeah, well, it does fall, it really falls on the town planning board's requirement to do that. And I think that planning board down there is pretty more diligent than he probably should be on a lot of stuff, to be quite frank with you. And then long story short, is we're gonna go to the planning board with them. And we've done it with all our clients when we sell property, just take that relationship in, help everything stay nice and smooth and, and it helped because just, like recently when we did the land subdivisions there and we did all those parcel adjustments down there, it came back to me that there was a bunch of, grumbling behind the scenes and then, none of that grumbling when I showed up that night. It was all like, no, this all works good. So.
So we need a motion or motions on the table to.
You know what a tourism center is in Catskill?
1 second, Don is asking a question.
Can you just move my little thing? Is it next to Home Depot? I'm just confused.
Across the street.
Here's the tourism center. Right?
Across the street.
Oh, okay.
So Home Depot is this over here.
This is the throughway ramp
Can
here,
you see where it is?
coming this way.
It's,
Okay, so it's
so if
this
you're
little
looking at
spot right
Home
here?
Depot, you take a right.
No,
When you're coming off the throughway.
across the street.
Yep, there's Home Depot.
You go up the hill here, whatever you need is right, if you come off the through.
Okay, right. It's not the park and ride, it's on the other side.
No,
Correct.
it's all that.
Got it.
Yeah, there's a little drainage just goes down through there.
Okay.
That's what Keith was just talking about, the parking
Okay,
lot
all
over there.
right.
Renee, I know it was mentioned, this is unrelated to the motion, but somebody has set some money aside for tourism to do that renovation.
We set
Yeah.
aside,
We've been set aside, we got like 300 and some thousand already in the bank.
yeah.
By the time, hopefully we'll have a couple more things in there beforehand, and if not, then, we'll work with, planning to go for a grant. The Board of Counties even said they'll make up some gap funding if we need to. I think if everything goes well, we'll pretty much be able to almost 100% fund it. And my goal, what I'd like to do is kind of sort of like last legacy type thing. I'd like us to do it and turnkey it to them. And have a ribbon cutting saying, not only do we build all this business and did this, but you got a brand new tourism center for ZIP.
What a different look than quarter
Yeah.
from today to.
Right.
Yeah.
What do they value that at in the gift to Stewart, so they gave that to us?
Well,
Not agreeing.
so the property's carried, I looked it up, the property's got a full market value on the books of about 225, 250, I forgot, somewhere in the low 200s. So you got to figure that that's usually 30, 40%, if not more, okay? Because they probably haven't revamped that building in forever, it's been there forever. So just it's a little, that's probably building, lot, everything else, 350, maybe 4, maybe not 4. It's got a tough site land base around it, so I'd say 350-ish ballpark.
Make a motion to order the transfer.
Approval of land sale to Stewart's.
Yep.
Fred.
Okay, so we need a second.
Keith.
Keith, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, and moving right along on we wish every meeting was this well. As you know, we've been vetting multiple hotel developments. Now, I'm really key for everybody to understand that this was not a process that was done as a competitive RFP. We did a competitive RFP in 19, we got no responses to it. And we had done some follow-up after that. We had branch development in 19, right before COVID. That January, we were ready to sign a term sheet and get going, and then COVID hit over there too. So we had somebody approach us out of the blue, like we normal course of business for the IDA. We're looking to do something. Do you have a piece of property? We're interested. We were vetting that particular team, looked very good experience, qualifies, blah, blah, blah. Then another team comes out of left field through certain other parties that were sort of directed to us. So we brought them into the mix and started evaluating them. And then we asked for supplemental information because the first and the second were not necessarily apples to apples yet. So we went back to both of them and we're looking for supplemental information for review. The first party didn't respond, wouldn't answer his emails, wouldn't answer her calls. I finally called, he picked up, sounded sick. We'll get back. Oh, I'm sorry, we're late. We'll get back, get it to you by the end of the week. That was a month ago. So I told April, don't even bother calling them again. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you can't even respond to get your information, and that's kind of like a big check mark guy. And they haven't done anything in a month. They never called again. So they just got written off. And out of the blue, another team shows up. Okay. And so we did give them the courtesy. They sent in some stuff. So right now we're down to 2. I'm going to hesitate to say who it is because if you remember, with this deal, the county's our partner in this, okay, on the quality insight. As of last night, 5 of the 6 people at the county that had the thumbs up had thumbs up it, okay? So we're clearly going to get the thumbs up, but I want to make sure before we say who it is on public record out there, that we get all thumbs up on that. It will be for Hampton Inn, which is no big deal because they both kind of were doing a comparative. 80-ish rooms. Everybody will be very happy with this deal. We feel the team is very well qualified to do it. There was offers made with the proposals, and what I'd like to have the board do today is to approve us setting the price in a counter offer on the property for 2.6 acres, as shown in green, plus or minus, at $1,465,000. Again, supported by appraisals. So what we did is we had an appraisal done on a 1.7 acre piece, and then we had an appraisal done on a 4 acre piece, potential subdivisions, because one of the hotel developers wanted a bigger piece first. So all we basically did was, took the 2 ends of the extremes, created a line, and then just extrapolated off that line, which puts us at about $565,000 an acre, I want to say, somewhere in that neighborhood. But so again, the point today would be to get the board to approve setting the purchase price at $1,465,000. We will counter that with. Once we have the approval from the county on the 6th person, we'll make that counter offer to that team. And I would tell you that hopefully, basically next month's meeting, we will be agreeing on terms and moving that to contract. 2.6. Keep in mind, everything could slide a little decimal point-ish here as we fine tune some of the stuff in here.
So I guess my question would be what is the original price, what was the offer, and now we're resolving
1.2.
They offered 1.2, or we
1.25.
1.25.
So
we were asking.
So about 215,000 increase over there, which is not insurmountable in my book. So it's.
Did we have an initial request of what we were asking?
No, we asked.
Also, we're just countering their offer.
Yes.
And we're just setting, because we were waiting on the appraisal, we were waiting on a few other things to get in, so we could kind of, set some pricing on this. Finished up the pro forma. I will tell you, I've said from day one, we're not making 400% like we did on Ferguson down here. We've been very clear about that. But we will comfortably come out of this with some proceeds in excess of costs. Not a ton, but we will. And
Well, it's
Cover
an
our-
important county project, so.
and then we.
Natural gas is out there? Is the Central Hudson line out there?
So-
That's,
Not yet. So that still remains to be seen as to
Okay.
whether the county will run that line or not run that line, because the CMH project, I don't want to say it's faltering, but it's sort
not
of,
moving forward.
it's kind of hit a wall.
Okay.
We're trying to figure out a way, it's way too, price too high. They're trying to figure out how to bring price down. My sense is they can't do it, but on that. And if the county,
Development cost.
the counties
Yeah,
are,
we
yeah.
can talk about that under extra.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, but they know that going in.
Yes, yeah. And they don't necessarily, they will use natural gas if they have it, but they don't necessarily need it.
Okay.
Because you gotta remember too, I thought when hotels like, oh yeah, you got 80 heaters. They're all mini splits anymore. So all your domestic heat, it heats very little. They heat your common space, maybe run your laundry off of it. So they don't use as much as you would think they would use.
They're pushing for more electric anyway, so it might wind up being electric at the end of the day. anyway.
Right. And Stewart's has no need for the natural gas.
Okay, great.
Okay, so if anybody doesn't have any more questions, let's get that motion put forward and,
To counter.
right.
So moved. Motion to empower.
Seconded.
There was a second? Okay. All
No,
those
I
in
need,
favor?
I got a second.
Brian seconded.
Brian, second? Okay.
Thank you, Dan. Okay,
And
so,
then just quick,
yep,
really quick, lastly, one of the things we got to deal with, and I didn't make copies, everybody, but if you see the bigger tire parcel here, the little triangle pink in the back is zoned differently, RA. In the front's quarter commercial, so out of 7 acres, 1.3. So I've already talked to the town supervisor. I gave him 3 alternatives. I don't know, most of the time in zoning code, when you get a situation like this, especially when you're bounded, this is the throughway over here, and this is the maintenance facility all around here. I mean, nobody's ever got.
So is
So-
that tank to reduce the power of this?
it's
yes.
the back portion of the.
It's the same map, but I'm just showing you the difference in the zoning, pink
What's the
versus
zoning on
blue.
that currently?
The pink in the back is RA, residential, rural residential agriculture. The front is corridor, highway corridor.
I don't know why. Yeah.
Well, typically what you have the ability to do in your zoning is if you have, the predominant, if you have a parcel like this and it's predominant, number one, those zoning code allows you to treat the whole parcel then as under the same code. So they can either do that, they can amend the map, or we can do a variance, a use variance. So either or. So I just sent it to town. Easy fix. I'd much rather do that than wetlands or something. So, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that that'll be some of what we have to work on. And then likewise backwards, we still have to put that road in. We've budgeted in pro forma about 850,000 to do that. I feel real comfortable with that. So if that budget comes in, and then lastly, in the pro forma for this, so everybody knows, is that we have half of the $800,000 we previously spent on a natural gas line written into the pro forma to recover that fund on this pro forma, and then the other half we'll try to recover off of the exit 21 side or the west side.
So all these are expenses figured into this total project.
Correct.
Sale value.
Yep.
And then the pink parcel is the pad that's still available for sale.
And that's what I was just gonna ask. So it says proposed restaurant, but it doesn't need to be a restaurant. Okay, so it could, got it.
It's just the.
No, but that's what everybody's probably going to really push hard to try to get.
Because the hotel needs it?
Grace will have sales tax dollars. You got a built-in market with the hotel, with the people with the hotel right there. And then if we get the right kind of chain, it'll draw people off the throughway. They're traveling and like, hey, there's Cracker Barrel, whatever your thing is on that. So a restaurant would be a much higher priority than putting in a retail store selling little rabbit's feet with welcome to the Catskills on it or something,
And you left enough acreage there to accommodate that based on,
Well, what was left over from the rest.
All right, so it's not been built for that purpose, it just
No,
happens to be the
what's
result.
been, and that's why I say don't get too crazed on the lines and because they will likely get tweaked and adjusted. Don't really pay too much attention to all this stuff. So when you see that proposed restaurant and all that, the hotel developer, because we were trying to encourage all the hotel developers to shrink your footprint as small as possible to give us the ability to have another lot. And so when they did their submission back, they had their engineers say, here, look, you got room to build this stuff. First of all, an awful lot of road wasted in there, for those little internal roads and stuff. So trust me, that'll look nothing like that in the end, but that is still a sizable little, a 1.5 is comfortable to get a restaurant on with parking.
Might get something like, it'll never happen, like a Wegmans or something.
It won't happen there.
No.
It won't happen, but
Yeah, like a destination, high-end food store with restaurant.
What would be back of the napkin, so we're 800,000 in taxes, that's gotta go to the county off the top pretty quick.
So if you go back on this parcel, on these parcels, so the deal with the county that we did is the first land sale, we split 50-50. The second land sale, the IDA gets made whole, and then the county gets made whole. So that's how the hierarchy works. First land sale, we split, we both get some cash up front. The IDA gets made whole, the county gets made whole, and then anything left after both parties are made whole, we split with them.
Is there enough money in the pro forma for the county to be whole? Because I thought the taxes were pretty high after
we've already had the conversation. The county's not going to get paid the penalties and the interest.
Yeah.
So right now to make the county whole is like $711,000. That's everything, the taxes. Out to exterior lawyer fees they paid, they tried to bill for like Ed Kaplan's office time and for highways time. We said, wait a minute, none of us are billing our in-house time. So we wiped that out. It wasn't a lot of money, $3 or $4, $5 all in. So at 711, that pays them back for everything. 711 pays them everything cash out of pocket they've paid out. The first land sale at 1.4 will make them whole on that. They keep those. Many times he's done these. It's not uncommon for the county to forgive the interest and penalties to get something moving and get it done.
Especially a project of this importance.
Yeah.
So the roadway 850, that comes out of that as well, right?
Correct. It'll come out. Well, we'll pay for it, and then we'll get that'll go back in it's in the pro forma though.
I can share that.
Demolition,
It's all in the pro forma. Don't forget, the demolition only costs us at the end of the day, about $45,000.
We had a grant.
We had the grant for $250 that applied against that. So we're really, the IDA is not in bad place. I mean, only because we have the Thruway land acquisition in there.
Yeah, for 412.
We're at about 500 and some thousand, maybe, plus a little higher than that because we got the 400,000
Yeah, you added
for
half
the
of
gas
that.
line in there.
Yeah. I can share the performa. I'm making notes.
Yeah, we're in good shape. I've never had a project go south on dollars, and this one's not going to be first one, that's for sure.
You're good with that motion?
I got the motion, so Fred and Brian, and we can move on to 21 West. So the sale of the garage parcel is.
We vote on that?
We did.
We did, we approved that a while ago.
Oh, no, on the motion of the hotel counteroffer, we approved it. So the garage, it's going to be scheduled. We're waiting on their attorney ordered a title search, and then we'll just schedule it for the end of this month.
That's a little store.
Yeah. Okay. With the sale of the garage, we have our ATV, sports utility vehicle stored there. So I need to relocate it. And I did some research on storage containers. The idea is to move a storage container to where near the pump station. So we can still show the property, the 60 acres behind it. So CNC Container and Meyer Container gave me quotes. So it's anywhere from $3,900 up to $5,800, or we could rent it for $100 a month. So I just need to know kind of what the board would like me to do, and then an approval to spend up to $5,800 on a container.
How much is the sports utility vehicle worth?
We bought it for about $12,000.
12,000?
Yeah, $12,000.
We're storing a $12,000 thing for $5,800?
Well,
No, well, you buy the garage for it. and-
Right, so
and
you have a garage.
And you could probably sell the garage if at some point.
And-
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ATVs.
And the container can be moved around. So
Right.
we do different projects, different sites, or do other places, the container can be drop, lock our stuff up in it.
Oh, okay.
It's not a bad thing for us to
Buy
own
it.
because we can
Right.
drop it from property to property if we want, and keep our things like this in there.
One
Will it
second.
be visible or will it be placed somewhere else?
It'll be down behind the pump station, so it'll be somewhat visible. That's why we also said let's just buy one and get a painted one, so
A
it
nice
looks
new-
halfway decent. Don't look like it just fell off a mountain or something.
Yes. Or both.
Renee, do we need to put a stone pad down for that to sit on?
We probably should, but we have some millings and stuff down there already. Be easy enough, just pull some of the millings over. Cause we still gotta get like Holstead or someone in there to do that, archaeological mitigation on that bell jar property, which is just laying down some barrier and put a foot of material down over it. So when we do that, we'll make a little pad for it. And I want to put it by the pump station too, because then we can just pull a 110 line off of the
Right.
pit down there to keep a trickle charger on it.
Yeah, and my recommendation is we own it. I mean, I imagine that's yours too, Renee, because this is something we'll continue to use, or the IDA will use for.
Is there, should we be considering a trailer option?
More money. That's what, in the old days when we built the first two business parks, I was at Solar Water and we used a lot of our stuff. But that's what we did. We had a big, enclosed cargo trailer. We had it set up like a little field office because, when you get building projects, you just need to have plans on site. You need to have signage. And there's always something around that's.
Well, this would be a 20-foot container, so we would
Right.
have room to store other things in
In the
it?
front, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I just trying to get a trailer just because we don't have anything registered
Oh,
right now.
hold on, Dan.
DMV registered or any of the rest of it. The container is easy enough. There's a bunch of guys making them
okay.
for me. You can take anybody with a roll off can just roll it up and flip it and dump it somewhere else.
Dan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I think it'd be worth getting a price on a used trailer, because it is a little more diverse. We can do more things with it. It's a lot easier to move.
Okay. I
But
will.
right now, yeah, we don't have anything motor vehicle registered, insured and or otherwise.
Yeah, and the only other thing moving a
Go
trailer
next.
that size is you need, it's
Oh,
a
true,
big
true.
trailer.
Dan
That's a
said
tractor trailer. You
rent a truck from Home Depot to move it. Or I can hire my consultant to.
I know, I still strongly recommend going to container. I mean, trailers can get stolen, they're lighter weight. I don't. If you're gonna, you're not gonna get a used trailer for any less than that, Dan, a cargo trailer, that's for sure. You're
You're gonna have a limitation.
unless you buy something really ugly looking.
There's a limitation within commercial insurance that says if you don't have a power vehicle, you're gonna have difficulty getting the liability on a non-motorized trailer. So it does put you in a catch-22 on liability covers too.
Oh,
Yeah, because
because we
normally
have
you're covered.
coverage on the ATV right now.
Yeah, you gotta have one power vehicle on the auto policy in order to cover the trailer for liability.
Right, because that's usually where it's covered. It's covered, you don't have a separate policy on a trailer, it's covered under your tow vehicle,
Depending on
right?
weight.
Yeah, like your average homeowner trailer.
Just insure a trailer without an associated vehicle.
Yes, yeah, because you don't have a power vehicle to go with it, so they're saying, all right, well, how is this thing on the road? So if you're not pulling it with an own vehicle, how is it being moved? How is it maybe buying into something that we're not getting premium for? So there is that limitation.
Okay, so what am I doing?
Really, if the board make a motion where they want, which way they want.
I price containers and they're extremely high right now.
Well, it's
Because I wanted to buy
5,800 for a new
some.
one.
I cleared a couple acres, I wanted to buy some, they're extremely high right now, but, if you can find a good deal,
We got some pricing there, right? There's a pricing there.
Yeah, I've called those companies too, and that's down a little bit from last year.
Yeah,
Okay,
Just not much, but it was,
Yeah.
the high number was about 7,000 last year.
okay, so,
And
I think we should buy the box.
Right. I
Yeah,
think
like I said, my recommendation is the box. I think that's Renee's too, and I just for several reasons, security definitely being one of them. But I think that's the way to go for the size of container you get. Because what is it, April, 25 foot?
it's a 20-foot
20 foot.
container.
Yeah, but I mean that's almost a tractor trailer size. You're not going to be able to get a trailer we tow that size to be able to even manage that. So that's my recommendation. So if anybody doesn't have any major objection to that, let's get that moving forward.
So I just need a motion.
Right.
Brian?
I'll make the motion. Yeah.
Brian's got the
Brian,
motion, seconded
Need
by
a second?
Keith.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. As mentioned above, we hired CME Associates. They're doing soil borings this fall, keeping the projects moving forward. And then to wrap it up, Columbia Memorial Hospital, they're still reviewing their budget numbers based on the development, working with the county. It's been going around and around. So do we have any other update on them?
No, but I just want to note that the soil borings are actually for exit 21 East,
Oh, I'm
not
sorry.
for west.
I will.
We got it. That's for where we have to put the road and utilities in. We know it's all rock. but
Right.
We need to verify it.
Road and utilities. Okay. I will update that in the minutes.
And is that gonna be a county road when it's done, so you turn it over to the county?
That would be, I would recommend that it goes.
That's what we've done in the other
Yeah.
parks.
So it's gonna be built to county specs, to highway specs? Yeah, it does add a lot of cost, but
Yeah, but you need,
is there a
but
reason that we don't wanna have some type of agreement between the three parcels? And keep
you ever dealt with,
it
have you ever dealt with private highway agreement,
Yeah,
private
yeah,
driveway? Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
There you go. So that's one thing I guess, they are a total nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this place, build it as a public road, the county can, as far as I'm concerned, the county can take it over, they go right past there and put the plow down the other side of the bridge and plow 23B anyway. And we had this conversation, me and Warren yesterday, I said, well, here's my interpretation of it. In the tax distribution, the county gets a bigger share than the town, plus the county is gonna get all the revenue off the sales tax, there's gonna be two, if these both go through, there's two large sales tax generators on that property, it makes logical sense for,
Cover the maintenance.
you know, cover the maintenance on that, but that would be the intent. So far, we've turned all the roads over to the county that we've done.
So does the board have any other questions? Okay. So we can call for an adjournment.
Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So.
Seconded.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned. Hold on.
Thank you.
Hold on.